October 3, 2025, NASA's Perseverance rover captured images of 3I Atlas on Mars. Astrophotographer Simeon Schmaus stacked 20 rover images and found a faint smudge of light where the interstellar visitor should be. That same day, NASA furloughed 15,000 employees. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's high-resolution camera, capable of 30 times better resolution than Perseverance, was positioned perfectly. ESA's Mars Express and ExoMars were watching too. Where are those images? Remote viewers detected technology aboard this object back in August, a thumb drive-sized device deliberately placed inside an ancient comet, broadcasting impulses. They described this months before telescopes started detecting chemical impossibilities. Let me show you what appeared on Twitter 48 hours ago. A user called UFO Mania posted an image with a caption that sent shockwaves through the online astronomy community. The newest and closest 3I Atlas is not a comet, it's perfectly cylindrical. The coordinates matched, the timing matched, and most importantly, the silence from official channels matched. On October 3, when 3I Atlas made its closest approach to Mars at 29 million kilometers, we should have been flooded with images. Multiple spacecraft, multiple angles, the best resolution ever achieved of an interstellar object. And we got nothing. Well, not nothing, we got silence. An account called 3I Atlas Anomaly began posting technical breakdowns far more detailed than typical conspiracy content. Carbon dioxide-rich coma revealed by JWST. Water and hydroxyl emission detected by SWIFT. Polarimetric oddities showing negative 2.77% polarization at phase angle 7 degrees, unprecedented among asteroids and comets. These weren't vague speculations. They cited real instruments, real measurements, real scientific papers. Then came the cosmologist. A Twitter user named Moneypenny claimed a leading cosmologist named Stephen Burns believes the object is intelligent, surrounded by dusty plasma, and exhibiting consciousness which has already been communicating with us. She added one more detail. We can no longer look at it as it's too close to the sun. It will be December before we can view it again. 3 months of waiting while the object is hidden behind the sun, completely obscured from every telescope on Earth. John Stewart, a UFO investigator, posted something that read like a warning. My source has gone dark. NASA is shutting down and even Congress is in recess. If 3I activates, ancient texts warn the sky will burn with knowing light and the world will forget its reflection. In the last 48 hours, as these posts went viral, not a single official image from the Mars flyby has been released. Not from NASA, not from ESA, not from China's Tianwen-1 mission or the UAE's Hope orbiter, all of which were watching. The only visual evidence comes from Simeon Schmaus's faint smudge. That's what we got from humanity's closest look at an interstellar visitor from spacecraft that can resolve features smaller than a car on the Martian surface. Multiple amateur astronomers working independently reported the same thing. When they processed their images and enhanced the contrast, what remained was elongated, smooth, almost geometric, perfectly cylindrical. We know this is possible because Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor, was also elongated. When 3I Atlas shows similar characteristics, when multiple independent observers report the same geometric quality, when official channels remain silent, what are we supposed to think? What I'm about to tell you happened in August 2025, 2 months before the Mars flyby. Berdy Jaworski, former vice president of the Farsight Institute with nearly 30 years of professional remote viewing experience, was given a set of coordinates with no context. This is how legitimate remote viewing works. The target remains completely blind. She began describing movement through space, something traveling, something old, very old. A natural object, icy, rocky. But then she noticed something unusual, something that was not completely natural, something strange. She kept going deeper and perceived something small about the size of a thumb drive deliberately placed inside this object, not on the surface, inside. Someone had bored into this rock, she reported, bored into this icy rock deliberately and placed something encoded with all kinds of information. It's kind of like an archive, a message in a bottle, but it's not just a message, it's technology of some sort. She went further. This thing is so old. And even though the object itself is billions of years old, the thing that was placed inside of it is also very, very old. Did some species send up a little robot to bore into it and stick their little message and technology, knowing this thing was going to keep traveling. The friend who gave Birdie the coordinates waited until after the session to reveal what she'd been viewing, 3i Atlas, but she wasn't finished. In follow-up sessions, she discovered something that changed the entire picture. It's also broadcasting. These messages come out in pulses. Broadcasting present tense, not was broadcasting billions of years ago, is broadcasting now. When the host mentioned that astronomer Avi Loeb had published calculations showing 3i Atlas arrived from the same region of the sky as the famous WOW signal from 1977, Birdie didn't hesitate. That's super interesting. It's very possible that that is the WOW signal. Multiple remote viewing groups working independently targeted 3i Atlas. While specifics varied, certain themes emerged: technology, deliberate placement, broadcasting, involvement of non-human intelligence. Several viewers reported the sensation of the object being masked, deliberately avoiding detection. References to crop circles, advanced spherical craft, brain scanning technologies appeared in multiple independent sessions. Consider what Birdie described: a small technological device billions of years old placed deliberately inside a comet. If that were true, what would we expect to see? The object would look like a comet from a distance, but up close we might notice things that don't quite fit. Unusual chemical compositions, unexpected materials, behaviors that seem almost designed rather than random. We would expect it to be massive, far more massive than its visible size suggests. And we would expect it to be transmitting. October 3, 2025 was supposed to be historic. Then at the exact moment when we needed NASA most, 83% of the agency disappeared. 15,000 civil servants furloughed during what should have been the most intensive observation campaign in interstellar astronomy history. The official explanation: federal government shutdown, budget impasse, nothing to do with 3i Atlas, just unfortunate timing. Think about the odds. 3i Atlas was discovered in July. The Mars flyby was planned for months. Scientists knew this would be their only chance before the object disappeared behind the sun. And in the final week before closest approach, the United States government shut down. Raw image feeds from Perseverance kept uploading. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter didn't stop working. The cameras were active. The data was being collected. It just wasn't being released to the public. Meanwhile, Avi Loeb was making the rounds on news networks, laying out the anomalies with mathematical precision. The trajectory aligned with the ecliptic plane, 0.2% probability. The timing optimized for planetary encounters, 0.005% probability. 7 characteristics that made 3i Atlas unlike anything ever observed. He kept returning to one point: we need the Mars orbiter data. The high-rise images could tell us the diameter of the nucleus, resolve structure, answer the fundamental question of what we're looking at, but the images weren't being released. Representative Tim Burchett, member of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, appeared with Loeb on Newsmax to discuss the object. A sitting congressman on national television talking about an interstellar visitor and the suspicious silence surrounding it. This was entering mainstream political discourse, and still NASA said nothing. The European Space Agency released a statement confirming that Mars Express and ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter had successfully observed 3i Atlas. Instruments including high-resolution stereo cameras and multiple spectrometers had collected data to be analyzed in the coming weeks. But no images, no preliminary findings, no excitement, just dry confirmation followed by silence. China's Tianwen-1 mission said nothing. The UAE's Hope orbiter said nothing. Every spacecraft at Mars had been watching, and every space agency on Earth had gone quiet. When 2i Borisov passed through in 2019, images flooded out immediately. Scientists were excited. The astronomical community celebrated. 3i Atlas gets silence. The difference perhaps is that 2i Borisov behaved exactly like a comet. 3i Atlas does all the things that challenge our understanding. There's a principle in science called Occam's razor. When you have competing explanations, the simplest one is usually correct. One anomaly can be explained away. 2 might be coincidence. But when you stack 7 statistical impossibilities on top of each other, Occam's razor starts cutting in a different direction. Anomaly 1, the mass problem. Based on brightness, the object would have to be somewhere between 10 and 20 kilometers across. For context, Oumuamua was barely 100 meters. 2i Borisov was less than 1 kilometer. This thing appeared orders of magnitude larger. The probability, roughly 0.01%, 1 in 10,000. But the astrometric data showed almost no deviation from pure gravitational acceleration, despite heavy outgassing. That implies enormous mass, more than 33 billion tons, making it roughly 1 million times more massive than Oumuamua. 1 million times. Anomaly 2, the backwards tail. Hubble captured the highest resolution image on July 21st. The scattered light extended roughly twice as far toward the Sun as perpendicular or opposite to the Sun. Comets have tails that point away from the Sun because radiation pressure pushes dust particles outward. This is basic physics confirmed by thousands of observations over centuries. 3I Atlas appeared to be violating that principle. The extension wasn't subtle, it was a 10:1 ratio. Anomaly 3, the industrial fingerprint. The Very Large Telescope detected nickel atoms in the gas plume. Lots of nickel rising exponentially, but almost no iron. In nature, nickel and iron are born together in supernova explosions. Every natural comet ever observed shows nickel and iron in similar abundances. 2I Borisov had normal ratios. 3I Atlas was producing nickel without iron. The only place we see that signature is in industrial production. Anomaly 4, polarization from another world. 3I Atlas showed a polarization signature that doesn't exist in any catalog. This combination had never been measured in any asteroid or comet, solar system, or interstellar. Anomaly 5, the ecliptic alignment. The probability of an interstellar visitor's orbit aligning within 5 degrees of the ecliptic is roughly 0.2%, 1 in 500. 3I Atlas arrived aligned within 5 degrees. Not only that, but it's moving retrograde, opposite to the direction planets orbit. This is the ideal trajectory if you wanted to survey multiple planets with minimum course corrections. Anomaly 6, the planetary timing. 3I Atlas will pass close to 3 planets during its flyby: Venus, Mars, Jupiter. The probability of a random interstellar visitor arriving with timing that allows close approaches to 3 different planets is approximately 0.005%, 1 in 20,000. If you were designing a reconnaissance mission to our solar system, this is the trajectory you would choose. Anomaly 7, the WOW signal coincidence. In 1977, the Big Ear radio telescope detected a signal so unusual astronomer Jerry Amon wrote "wow" in the margins. When scientists traced 3I Atlas's trajectory backward through the galaxy, they calculated where it would have been in 1977. The answer, within 9 degrees of the WOW signal origin. The probability, roughly 0.6%. 7 anomalies, 7 statistical long shots, and we're being asked to believe they're all coincidences. Right now, 3I Atlas is hidden behind the Sun, moving toward perihelion, the closest approach to our star. For 3I Atlas, that moment arrives October 29th at a distance of roughly 1.4 astronomical units. Avi Loeb made an observation that stuck with people. High-stress environments elicit confessions. When you heat ice, it cannot pretend to be anything other than ice. And when you heat something pretending to be a comet but might be something else, the mask comes off. There are 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, 3I Atlas is exactly what it appears to be, a comet. In this scenario, October 29th marks spectacular activity. We should see massive outburst of gas and dust, brightness increasing by factors of 10 or more, the development of a proper tail. If the object is fragile, perihelion might tear it apart entirely, giving us an unprecedented look at internal structure. But then there's scenario 2. 3I Atlas is not natural, the anomalies mean something. In this scenario, perihelion is not about sublimation, it's about activation. If you were sending a probe to another star system, you'd need it to survive billions of years in the cold. Wrapping it in ice makes perfect sense. Ice is protective, it makes the probe look natural. But once it reaches the inner solar system, it needs to wake up, it needs power. And there's only one power source available, the star itself. Loeb laid out the possibilities with mathematical precision. The object could use a solar obith maneuver, diving close to the Sun, using its gravity to accelerate and change trajectory dramatically with minimal fuel. The optimal point for this maneuver is at perihelion, and 3I Atlas reaches perihelion while completely obscured from Earth-based observation. If it wanted to change course without being detected, this would be the moment. Or it could release something, Mini probes, small craft that detach and use the retrograde trajectory to intercept planets. Mars, Earth, Jupiter, all reachable from this position with minimal course corrections. The timing of planetary alignments makes this almost trivially easy. Loeb was careful to note the implications. If 3I Atlas maneuvers toward Earth when it reappears on the other side of the Sun, the financial markets may crash. That's not hyperbole. That's a sober assessment of what happens when humanity realizes it's not alone. But we won't know, not yet. Between now and early December, we're blind. Every telescope on Earth cannot see behind the Sun. 3I Atlas is in a communication blackout that would be perfect for a spacecraft that didn't want to advertise its next move. The European Space Agency has a contingency plan. Between November 2nd and 25th, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer spacecraft will turn its instruments toward 3I Atlas just after perihelion. JUICE will catch the object when whatever is going to happen has already happened. If the object develops a massive coma and tail, JUICE will see it. If it fragments, JUICE will document the debris field. And if it does something unexpected, if it maneuvers or releases objects, JUICE will record that too. December 19th is when the object makes its closest approach to our planet, 1.8 astronomical units away. Still no threat, but close enough that every major observatory will be watching. And that's when we'll know if anything changed. If the orbit is exactly as predicted, we can breathe easier. But if the numbers are off, if the trajectory shows deviations that cannot be explained by outgassing, then every assumption about our place in the universe will need revision. October 29th, the day 3I Atlas confesses what it really is. Except we won't hear that confession until December. And by then, it might be too late to do anything but watch what happens next.